At last, my love has come along. My lonely days are over.
Section 2.3 is on division of polynomials. So what we're going to do to start here is we're going to do some good old-fashioned review of long division. That's right, we're taking you all the way back to grade 6 or 7. Although I think we did review this in grade 9. It's my least favorite chapter in grade 9. So let's review how to divide. If I wanted to do 3 into 2054 or 2054 divided by 3, how would I do that? First of all, I go 3 goes into 2, well it doesn't. Okay, so then I go 3 into 20, goes how many times? 6, and I write it over the last number it goes into, which is the 0. So I put the 6 right there. 6 times 3 is 18. Then what do? I subtract. That's an 18. So I get 20 take away 18 is 2. And then I bring down the 5. I used to always put an X here. That's how I learned it when I was a kid. But somewhere along the way I picked up the habit of putting an arrow downwards. I kind of like that better. So either way is fine. It is good to put a little X or an arrow just so you don't lose track of where you're at. So this becomes 2 and the 5 comes down. 25. 3 into 25. 8 times. Gosh, I'm not writing very well here today. 8 times 3 is 24. 24. 25 take away 24. We're subtracting again, equals 1. Now I bring down, yay, I like putting the long arrow. That's why I like the arrows here. 14. 3 into 14 goes 4 times. 4 times 3 is 12. 14 divided by 14 take away 12 is 2. Remember that? That's long division. Believe it or not, we're going to do it today, but we're going to use polynomials. We're going to use big complicated things like down here to do that. Alright, some terminology you need to know. What's this 2? You know what that's called. The 2 is called the remainder. Okay, everyone knows that. Some of you might remember what the answer is called. When you divide, the answer is called a, starts with a Q. That's right, a quotient. I could hear you. You got it right. Good for you. Okay, the 2 you probably don't remember is what this number is called, the number you're dividing by, and the number itself that you're dividing. The number you're starting with that you're dividing is the dividend. And the number you're dividing by also starts with a D. It's the divisor. Okay, there's now 2 statements we can make once we have our answer. One is that the dividend, 2054, the number we started with, is equal to the divisor, 3, times the quotient, 684. So is that true? Is 2054 equal to 3 times 684? Almost, but there's this remainder of 2. So what would we have to do to this answer, 3 times 684, to get that answer, 2054? You'd have to add 2. You've got to add the remainder on. That's one way you could write it. The other way you could write it is you could say that the dividend, 2054, divided by the divisor, 3, is equal to, well, if we divide 2054 by 3, we have 684. And then we have 2/3 remainder. We put 2 over 3, 2 over the divisor is our remainder. We're going to do both of those. It's kind of annoying. When we get our answer, they always ask us to write it in one of these 2 ways, or even both ways. It just seems like so much extra work. Anyway, just to write it out in words, there's 2 ways. We've done them both here. One is that the dividend is equal to the divisor, right? Dividend, divisor, times the quotient, and then we added on the remainder. So that's one way you always be able to write these. The other way you'll be able to write it is that the dividend divided by, what's 3? 3 is the divisor, is equal to 684, which is the quotient, plus the remainder divided by the divisor as well. These are the 2 ways that we're going to express our answers. Sorry. Okay. All right, so now we're going to learn how to do long division with polynomials. So here's the steps. First step, I was worried that would happen. You're going to write the divisor and the dividend in descending order of degree. You're going to insert a coefficient for missing degrees of the variable, and you're going to follow long division rules. Be very careful with the substitution. Okay, so pause the video if you want and write that down. I'm just going to erase a little bit here so you can actually read it. It says divisor there, right? Okay, and then we'll go through this. All right, here we go. So, first of all, if we're dividing this 4-term polynomial, 5x cubed minus 13x squared plus 10x minus 9, we're dividing it by x minus 2, then what part goes out front in our little cave thing here? Do you remember we talked about this in grade 9 as well? People always mess this up. So we said the first part rushes into the cave to stay dry, so the 5x cubed minus, I can't write anything today, I don't know what's going on, 13x squared plus 10x minus 9 rushes into the cave, and since it's full, the second one, the x minus 2, has to stay out front. You probably don't need that little memory device anymore, but that's what we used in grade 9 if you couldn't remember which one comes first. Alright, so write the divisor and dividend in descending order of degree. This isn't descending order of degree, right? Because this has x to the 1 and this has x to the 0. There is no x. This is also in descending order. 3, 2, 1, 0. So that's what they mean by the first thing here. Second thing, insert a coefficient for missing degrees of the variable. So here we have a 3, a 2, a 1, and a 0. There's nothing missing. So step 1 and 2 are done. You'll get a better sense of what I'm talking about in the second example. So let's just go to here, follow the long division rules. So here we go. All you do is look at the first term, the x, and you ask yourself, what do I need to multiply this x by to get 5x cubed? I need to multiply it by 5x squared. So I'm going to write 5x squared. Maybe I'll do all this in red. I'm going to write 5x squared, but I'm not going to write it over the 5x cubed. I'm going to write it over the x squared term. Since the thing I need to multiply by is x squared, I'm going to write it over top of the x squared. So 5x squared times x is 5x cubed. And 5x squared times negative 2 is negative 10x squared. Now you need to be very careful here, because remember in long division the next thing you do is you subtract, but you shouldn't just write a subtract sign because you're subtracting all of this. This is where people make all their mistakes, is in this subtraction step. So 5x cubed take away 5x cubed is 0. You should always get that those cancel. That's why you put 5x squared up here. Negative 13x squared take away negative 10x squared. Hey, that actually means plus 10x squared. So you end up with negative 3x squared. What's the next step in long division? We bring down the next term. So we bring down plus 10x. And we redo the whole thing. Now we ask ourselves, what do I have to multiply x by to get negative 3x squared? I need to multiply by negative 3x. Negative 3x times x is negative 3x squared. Negative 3x times negative 2 is plus 6x. Now I'm going to subtract. But remember, I'm subtracting the whole amount. So I have negative 3x squared, take away negative 3x squared, which means plus, it's 0. That worked. 10x take away positive 6x, it was just 10 minus 6, is 4x. Okay, and now we have one last term to bring down, which is the minus 9. What do I have to multiply x by to get 4x minus 9? By 4. 4 times x is 4x. 4 times negative 2 is negative 8. Now we're ready to subtract. But I'm going to subtract the whole amount. 4x take away 4x is 0. Good. Negative 9 take away negative 8 is the same as negative 9 plus 8. I get negative 1. And I'm finished. Oh, that's supposed to be in red, isn't it? Sorry. Negative 1 is our final remainder. That's the remainder. Now, we're going to write this answer. Like, this is great. You've done all the work, but your book's always going to ask you to write the remainder in one of the two ways we talked about up here. Let's write it just in the first way here. So, dividend, what we started with in this case was 5x cubed minus 13x squared. You see where I'm getting this? I'm just getting this from right here. Plus 10x minus 9 is equal to x minus 2 times what I found the answer was up here, 5x squared minus 3x plus 4. And then we also have a remainder, which we have to slap on at the end, so we have a remainder of 1. Take away 1. Do you know you can actually check your work to make sure it works here? How could we do that? we could multiply. We could multiply these first two polynomials here. So we could do mountain, 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 and valley, 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 and then subtract 1, and it should work. Let's very, very quickly do that. X times 5x squared is 5x cubed. X times negative 3x is negative 3x squared. X times 4 is 4x. Negative 2 times 5x squared is negative 10x squared. Negative 2 times negative 3x is plus 6x. Negative 2 times positive 4 is negative 8. And we also have a minus 1. Let's collect our terms. We only have a 5x cubed. We have negative 3x squared and negative 10x squared, which is negative 13x squared. We have 4x and 6x, which is 10x. And we have negative 8 and minus 1, which is negative 9. Is that the original question? 5x cubed minus 13x squared plus 10x minus 9. Yes, it is. We got this one right. Now, I'm not saying you have to check them. I'm just showing you that you can, and showing you how the answer relates to the original question. Okay, let's do one more of these long division questions. So we're going to divide by x squared minus 2x plus 3. So that's what comes out front. X squared minus 2x plus 3. And it's going into, now be careful, we have to write it in descending order, and we also have to make sure there's nothing missing. So the biggest x here is x to the 4th. So we have 3x to the 4th. So now we look for an x cubed. Yes, there's one right there. So we have to write that next. Plus 2x cubed. Now we look for an x squared. Here it is. So it's negative 5x squared. Now I look for an x. There isn't an x. So what you must do, as it says up here in the steps, you have to insert a coefficient for missing degrees. How many x's are there here? 0. There's 0 x's. So I have to put plus 0x. And then there should be a constant, and there is minus 1. Okay, now we're all set up. So here we go. I'll go a little bit faster this time. X squared has to multiply by what to get 3x to the 4th? You have to multiply by 3x squared. So you're not going to write here. You're not going to write here. You're going to put it all the way over here. Since it's an x squared, you put it over the x squared. So 3x squared. 3x squared times x squared is 3x4. 3x squared times negative 2 is negative 2x is negative 6x cubed, and 3x squared times 3 is 9x squared, and we're going to subtract all of that. So the first one's cancel. Negative negative becomes a positive, so we have 8x cubed. So negative 5x squared take away 9x squared is negative 14x squared, and then we bring down, yes, we bring down 0x. Okay, how many times do we have to multiply x? What do we have to multiply x squared by to get 8x cubed? You have to multiply it by 8x. 8x times x squared is 8x cubed. 8x times negative 2x is negative 16x squared. 8x plus 3 is 24x. Subtract all of it. First ones cancel out. Negative negative is a positive, so this is actually 2x squared. 0 take away 24x is negative 24x, and you're going to bring down your negative 1. What do you multiply x squared by to get 2x squared? Whoa! Wow, can you hear this? Some fighter jet is going over my bedroom here. Unbelievable. That was loud. 2 times x squared is 2x squared. If we're under attack, I'm going to keep doing math. That's what I want to do in my final moments before I'm blown to smithereens. 2 times negative 2x is negative 4x, and 2 times 3 is 6. And we subtract all of that. First terms are gone. Negative 24 take away negative is adding, so it should be negative 20x. Negative 1 take away positive 6 is negative 7, and we are finished. Okay, so we did all that work. Now your book will want you to write it in a different way, one of these two ways. Let's write it in the second way this time. So we take the dividend, we take what we started with, the 3x, taking this, we write that down, 3x to the 4th plus 2x cubed minus 5x squared. We don't need to put the plus 0x. I'll get rid of that. Minus 1 divided by x squared minus 2x plus 3. That's what we divided it by. And we ended up with the answer 3x squared plus 8x plus 2, plus we also ended up with a remainder of negative 20x minus 7, and that's all over the divisor again, which is x squared minus 2x plus 3. Whew, okay, I thought this video would be fast. It's not going to be. These take so long. So now what we're going to do is we're going to learn something called synthetic division. The reason for this is, let's face it, that long division stinks. That takes forever, right? That's why the video is so long. We don't want to do something that takes that long. So there is something called synthetic division, which is basically a shortcut for long division. It's wonderful. And the thing about it is the divisor must be a binomial of the form x minus a. When I say x minus a, it doesn't mean it necessarily has to be a minus here, but basically it could be something like x minus 3, x plus 4, x minus, I don't know, 13, anything, right? As long as there's just one x and then a number here. Actually, it turns out there are other different ways to do synthetic division when you have like 2x minus 3 and even trinomials and stuff. But for this year, and I think for all of high school math, that's all you have to worry about. In fact, I don't think I ever did synthetic division any other way, but I have looked it up and seen how complicated it can be. So here's how it works. You draw yourself a flag. Well, not really, but it kind of looks like a flag. This is the way I do it. I draw a flag that's sitting on the ground. Right? Here's the ground, here's the flag. And in that box right there on the flag, what you're going to write is what you're dividing by. But rather than writing the whole thing x minus 2, it's kind of like, you know, when we had this as a factor and we asked what must the solution or the root be? If this was x minus 2 equals 0, what's the root or the 0 or the solution? Oh, well, what would make this 0 is if x is 2. Well, that's what we do here. Do like the opposite. If it says minus 2, you put 2 in here. If it said x plus 2, you'd put negative 2 in there. Now what you do is you just write down all the coefficients. You know what the coefficients are? All the numbers up front, right? The 5, the negative 13, the 10, and the negative 9. But you have to make sure that there's none missing. Do we have an x cubed? Yes. An x squared? Yes. An x? Yes. A constant? Yeah, they're all there. So all you do is write them across. 5, negative 13, 10, negative 9. Notice you don't even have to put the x's or anything. Okay, now here's how synthetic division works. You take the first number 5 and you drag it down to the ground. So I have a 5 there. Now you're just going to do repeatedly multiply, add, multiply, add, multiply, add. It's nice. The nice thing about synthetic division, by putting the opposite in here, the 2 instead of negative 2, instead of subtracting, which messes us up all the time, we get to add. It's beautiful. So we multiply. 2, the flag number, times 5 is 10. And we add down. Negative 13 plus 10, negative 3. Multiply that one by the flag number. 2 times negative 3 is negative 6. 10 plus negative 6, 4. Multiply that by the flag number. 2 times 4 is 8. Add those together, negative 9 and 8, you get negative 1. Okay, we're finished. Well, what the heck did we just find here? Well, here's what we found. The last number will always be the remainder. The next number over will always be the x to the 0 power, which is the same as no x at all. In other words, this is the constant. That says constant. This is the x to the first power. This is the x to the second power. If there was another number, it'd be x to the third power, then x to the fourth, blah, 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 blah. So in this case, what we have is 5x squared, take away 3x, or 3x to the first power is just 3x, plus 4, that's the constant 4, and there's a remainder of negative 1. That's basically what we found. And then you could write it in either one of those two ways we talked about before, but I'm just going to leave it like this. Now, this is actually the same question we did on the other page. Down here. You see our answer was right here, 5x squared minus 3x plus 4 with a remainder of negative 1 when we did all that long division. It's exactly the same question. I just copied and pasted. Look what we have here. 5x squared minus 3x plus 4 with a remainder of negative 1. It's exactly the same. I hope you agree with me. This is way faster. Okay, let's do another synthetic division. So we draw our flag. This is the first time I've talked about this flag thing. I just made it up. Hope you like it. We put our number in the flag. Well, since it's y minus 3, we're going to put plus 3. Okay, now we need to write down the coefficients, but we have to do it in the correct order, descending order. What's the biggest y you see here? I see a y to the 5th, so that's the biggest one. What's the coefficient on it? Negative 1. Is there a y 4th? Yes, the coefficient's 2. Is there a y cubed? Yes, the coefficient's negative 1. Is there a y squared? No, there's not. So guess what I do? I put a 0. Is there a y? Yes, there is. There's a 4. Is there a constant? No, there's no constant here. Guess what I have to do? I have to put a 0. Okay, I'm ready to start synthetic division. I love synthetic division. I could do this all day. It's so fun. Drag the first number down, -1, and start multiplying and adding. 3 times -1 is -3, and we add, we get -1. 3 times -1 is -3, and we add, and we get -4. 3 times -4 is -12, and we add, 0 plus -12 is still -12. 3 times -12 is -36, and we add, we get -32. 3 times -32 is -96, and we add, we get -96. Okay, we're finished. What does this mean? Remember, this is our remainder. This is our x to the 0, or our constant. This is our x to the 1, or just x. This is our x squared. You don't need to write this down every time. I'm just showing you in the example. There's no need for you to write all this red stuff down. You could just go right to your final answer, which is -1x to the 4th, or just -x4th, minus or take away 1x cubed, or just take away x cubed, take away 4x squared, take away 12x, take away 32, and there's a remainder of -96. Okay, again, we could write it in one of those two fancy ways, but I don't know. What's the point? We did all the work. I don't understand why they're so stress that so much to write it in the fancy forms. Okay, find by using synthetic division k such that 2x cubed plus x squared minus 5x plus k. Oh, you know what I did wrong up here? Anyone catch that? I did something completely wrong. All these x's here should be y's. The original question was 2y to the 4th minus y. So, I'm sorry. I guess I'd be a half mark off, Mr. Wudge. But I corrected it before I handed in. Perfect mark. Very, very proud. Find by using blah, 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 when divided by x plus 1 has a remainder of -3. Okay, it sounds confusing. Just do the same thing. As soon as you see synthetic division, start drawing your flag. Whoops, bad flag. It's off the flagpole. What is the divided by x plus 1? Since we're dividing by x plus 1, what should be the number in here? -1. Always do the opposite. Okay, here's our polynomial we're dividing by. So the biggest degree here is 2. That's at the x cubed. Then we have an x squared with 1. Then we have an x with -5. And then we have a constant which we don't know, so we'll just call it k, just like it looks like there. And we're going to do synthetic division. Drag down the 2. -1 times 2 is -2. 1 plus -2 is -1. -1 times -1 is 1. -5 plus 1 is -4. -1 times -4 is 4. And what do we do here? We add. What's k plus 4? K plus 4 is k plus 4. Okay, and what's the question says? It says it has a remainder of -3. Well, this is my remainder here. So that means that that amount, k plus 4, must be equal to -3. Oh, and I just solved that. Divide -4, or subtract 4 from each side. K equals -7. Finished. Don't you love synthetic division? Come on, you must love it as much as me. Alright, last question. We're going to divide this beast here by x squared minus 4. Ah, egad, we can't do that. It says up here, oh, it's now disappeared, but I'll bring it back quickly here. It says here that the binomial must be of the form x minus a, like x plus 4, x minus 13. This is x squared minus 4. I guess we can't do this. Or can we? Anyone see what you can do to this right here? You can factor it. You can make it x plus 2, x minus 2. It's a difference of squares. How does that help us? Because each one of these two factors is of the correct form. So we can divide this first by one of them and then by the other. It's kind of like this. If I was dividing 96 divided by 6, and let's say you're like, I don't know what that equals, 96 divided by 6. It's too hard. But you think to yourself, I know that 6 is the same as 2 times 3. So does that mean I can divide 96 by 2 first? And I know that's 48. I don't know why you would know that's 48. If you don't know 96 divided by 6 is 16, which it is, you probably wouldn't know 96 divided by 2 is 48. But let's say you're just a master of dividing by 2. So you know 96 divided by 2 is 48. We've done the 2. Now you could divide the 48 by 3 and get 16. And that's your answer. That's what 96 divided by 6 is 16. That's what you're going to do here. You're going to divide this beast here by the x plus 2, get an answer. Then you're going to divide the answer by the x minus 2, and you have the answer to the whole thing. Pretty cool, eh? It doesn't matter the order you do this in, but I'll do it in the order I wrote it down. So the first thing we're going to do is divide by x plus 2, which means my flag number. I love calling it the flag number now. It's brand new, and I love it. Flag number is -2. Write down your coefficients. 1 x fourth, 9 x cubed, negative 5x squared, negative 36x, and 4 is the constant. There was none missing, so we don't have to put any zeros in there. Drag down the 1. Negative 2 times 1 is negative 2. Add, you get 7. Negative 2 times 7 is negative 14. Add, you get negative 19. Negative 2 times negative 19 is 38. Add, you get 2. Negative 2 times 2 is negative 4. Add, you get 0. Hey, that's nice. Why is it nice? No remainder. So what's the polynomial when you divide all of this by x plus 2? What are you left with? Well, this is constant x squared, x cubed. You're left with x cubed plus 7x minus 19. Oh, sorry, x cubed plus 7x squared minus 19x plus 2. That's what you're left with. But we've only so far divided by x plus 2. So now we're going to do the second step. We're going to divide this by x minus 2. So here we go. Draw another flag. Sitting on the ground. Since we're dividing by x minus 2, what should I put in here? Plus 2. Okay, write down your coefficients. 1, 7, negative 19, 2. Do you see it's exactly the same as what we had written right here? So if you're doing this for homework, you don't need to rewrite it and then write it again. You could probably just throw your flag right beside here. You could probably just put like your flag right here, your 2, and just go straight from there. Right? Then you could save yourself some steps. Okay, so here we go. We're going to do synthetic division. Drag down the 1. 2 times 1 is 2. 7 plus 2 is 9. 2 times 9 is 18. Negative 19 plus 18 is negative 1. 2 times negative 1 is negative 2. Add those together, get 0. Hey, again, we have no remainder. It doesn't have to be that way. That's just the way they made this question. So what is our final solution? This is constant x squared. We have x squared plus 9x minus 1 is our solution with no remainder. So in other words, just to make sure you understand, if you were to divide x to the 4th plus 9x cubed minus 5x squared minus 30xx plus 4, if you divide it by x squared minus 4, what you would get is this answer down here. Okay? You could also do it by long division if you wanted to, but doing synthetic division twice in this case also got us the answer. Okay, that's it. Hopefully the plane doesn't come back and I'll be safe and see you the next day in class. Have a great evening or day or morning whenever you're watching this.
Oh, yeah.